Terror beneath the waves. What do you think it is? Hackett asked. Bragg simply shrugged as he slid on his boot. I don't know, he said. But if it's important enough to drag us across the ocean, it better be worth it. Hackett and Bragg were not considered to be the finest divers in the Navy of Ulster. But as of right now, they'd have to do. Just a few hours beforehand, their captain had received orders to sail to the wreck of the URS Endurance and send a pair of divers beneath the waves to retrieve something valuable from its depths. Of course, what the valuable object is with the scuttlebutt of the ship that evening. The sun was setting in the west when Hackett and Bragg made their way on deck. The veteran divers protested that they should have waited until morning. But Captain Beckett seemingly couldn't wait. He greeted the men as they made their way towards the bow with a gravelly voice. Remember, gentlemen, we'll all be up here waiting for you. 1 tug for air. 2 to surface. Bragg then nodded. Understood, sir. We shouldn't be more than half an hour at most. Beckett then nodded to them as the other sailors were preparing the equipment. Good. Anyways, you'll be looking for a silver chest, most likely located on the galley of the ship or the cargo hold. Hackett then nodded. Maybe you'd care to join us down there, sir. Seeing as how you're so keen to get it just before nightfall. Beckett then scowled at Hackett and ignored his statement. I thought I told you to trim that beard. Hackett then remained quiet as the good captain walked off. Only a few minutes later the pair of divers were lowered into the water and sank to the depths below, and they talked as the light from the sun began to fade. Why do you try to pick fights with people who outrank you? Bragg asked. Hackett only shrugged when they landed on the sea floor. I'm more scared of restless currents and the dead than grizzled captains. When they set foot on the sea floor, the two men made their way towards the words, URS Endurance, could still be seen inscribed along the bow, and Bragg nodded. Her hull looks completely intact from here. I'm going to try and find a breach. Bragg then slid his electric torch into his belt and climbed up top while Hackett was having a look around for debris. He made his way towards the lifeboat hanging over the side and kicked at it to listen to the chains rattle. They didn't even abandon ship, Hackett said over the intercom. Most times they don't get the chance. Bragg answered back as he lifted a hatch revealing the galley of the ship and continued as he stepped inside. A sudden gust of wind or rouge wave could have knocked the crew senseless in here. Either that or they tried to take their chances with the ship instead of that tiny rowboat. Eventually, Hackett made his way to a collection of sand where the remains of an unfortunate sailor lay, though definitely not at rest. The body was quite fresh to the point where his stiff hands were clutching a revolver while his other hand was sprained from shock. The worst feature of all, however, was the distorted and terrified face of a man who had seen death itself. Hackett leaned down and waved away the sand to see the man's hair snowy white and skin pale as the very sand he lay in. Hackett then stood back up and looked around. Anyways, will you hurry up in there? I don't want to be late to the chow hall again. However, he heard no response and pressed on his intercom again. Bragg. Again with no response. He then climbed up the hull and into the ship itself with knife and lantern in hand. Then he pressed on the intercom again. Bragg, stop fucking around and pick up. He then went inside to find a complete